Hello everyone, I'm Irina Baker, also known as Life-Changing Wizard. And today we are going to talk about a fascinating, in my eyes at least, and some other people too, fascinating subject. If there are any lives or if there is a continuation of life after death. I was born and raised in Russia, and at that time, well, religion was prohibited for us normal people, and we did not know about God, didn't talk about it, didn't talk about what would happen. So we believed in the material things, just this is what you have, and when you die, you go into nothing. And when I was 14 years old, somehow I got a book. I don't even know and don't remember how it got into my hands, but I actually got a book by Dr. Raymond Moody. And I'm sure you've heard about it if you're interested in this subject. And the book was, I believe it was Life After Death. I hope I'm not mistaken. It's been so long. And when I read the book, and he talked about the continuation of life, that we don't die, we come back again and again. And I remember my body was shaking. I felt resonance. It was resonating with the information. Deep, deep inside, I felt it was true. I even got chills right now. I still remember that moment when it was like fireworks in my head, because I said, wow, this is true. I do believe in it. And it was such a liberation for me at that time to know that we don't die, we move on, and life continues. And at the same time, I was thinking, it makes sense, because why would we being born and then we struggle, and when we study and then we work and work again and work a lot and have children, and then we die, and then what, we go into nothing? That didn't make any sense to me. And so that's why that book really came to me at the right time in my hands and created an amazing shift in me at that time. And so since then, time passed, and I experienced many past life regressions. I have recalls, spontaneous recalls myself now. I am a hypnotist who does it with a lot of people, a lot of clients, and there is no doubt in my mind anymore about any of it. But this hangout is for people who still maybe on the fence if there is something that is continuing, or they completely not believing in it. So we will discuss and see how what will you decide, and what will be your opinion after this hangout. And of course, I don't want to impose on anybody any of my beliefs. I'm just sharing my story and the story of my clients. And so when I would also like to say that I had a father who was seriously ill, very ill. And one time my mom, and she was a medical doctor, and she came home, and he was actually pronounced, well, he wasn't pronounced, I want to say pronounced, but he was dead. She came in and he was dead. And so, but apparently his time to check out was not yet, it wasn't his time yet. And so she came in right at the moment, because apparently he just died. And when she entered the house, she went straight to him, and she was able to resuscitate him. And when he turned back into consciousness, the first thing he said, and remember I mentioned he was seriously ill, many years in terrible pain, and it was just horrible to watch him, how he was gradually dying, and we all knew he would leave, but the journey was really struggling, journey was really heavy, hard, and painful to watch, and of course take part of it, because we had to take care of him at that time. And so when he got back into consciousness, the first words he said to his wife, to my mother, he said, "Why did you do that? Why did you bring me back to life?" Because the life here, as he knew it at that time, was so difficult for him. And when he died, he explained to us, or to her at that time, that he was floating through a tunnel, and there was a bright light at the end of the tunnel, and that light was calling him, and he was just floating, and he felt peaceful and pain-free, and just amazing feeling of serenity surrounded him that he hadn't have for a very long time here on earth. And he really enjoyed that peace and quiet and serenity and going home towards the light. And bear in mind, that was a long time ago, many years ago, and we were atheists not by choice but by just because everybody around us was an atheist. That was our way of life, and that's how we were brought up. So he did not believe in God. He did not know much about God, as I understand it. And so for him to explain what he had experienced and where he was floating, we didn't have those books to read, so nothing was available to us to confirm that, oh yeah, I've read it in a book and now I'm telling that. It's not the case. So for us to hear what he had to say about what was happening, and my mom knew he died. She's a medical doctor, and she at that time was working at the hospital, and she would certify deaths. She would be called a lot to certify deaths. So she definitely knew what was happening, and luckily she knew how to resuscitate him back. Although luckily or not luckily, because who knows what's the real when his time was and what was going on there at all. So anyway, that's the story I really share, and here I am sharing it on Google. I did not mean that, but suddenly it just happened. And in fact, I have a client whom I worked with, and she is going to share something very interesting, and that's why I guess I have felt compelled to share my story, and she's going to share her story. So let's invite her. I'm going to unclick my box so you can see also her. She unmuted herself. Perfect. All right, this is Robin Sanders, and she's going to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about herself, what she does. She's in business of her own, and she will share her website. And after that, we are going to continue talking about this fascinating subject, life after death. Hi, Robin.
Hi, Irina. That was an amazing story about your dad.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't even plan to talk about it, but I guess somebody needed to hear it today.
Yeah, that was cool. So, yeah, so I have my business called The Holistic You, which it's kind of a journey as well of uncovering the layers of someone to get to the core of who they are. And I do that through different techniques. I do readings, I do energy healing, I do health and wellness coaching, and I really work with the client for a while to kind of empower them to get on their way and live healthfully and happily. And so, yes, so people can check out my website. It's theholisticU.com. And holistic is spelled with a W, so it's the WHOLISTICYOU.com.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
And let's talk about your experience, because you were my client a long time ago, 2 years ago in 2012, and you still remember the experiences. You said you've been listening to the recording as well recently, so you've refreshed your memory. So the first one, why did you come to me in the first place, and how did you find out about me?
So I had actually gone to a holistic networking event at Vision Pulse, and you were giving a presentation there. And I felt, when you were speaking, I felt very not only drawn to you and your energy, but the way you were speaking and what you were speaking about gave me a new perspective on hypnosis. I had previously had the feeling of, which I'm sure is common, of not wanting to be out of control of your mind and your body and all that kind of stuff. But the way you described it and explained it, it made sense to me. It seemed like just another way of exploring yourself. Um, and you did kind of a mini hypnosis there, and I remember it very clearly, and it was really powerful, and I did feel like compelled to sign up right then and there, to have sessions with you. I felt very like you were trustworthy and honest and believable, and meant what you were saying, so it drew me to you.
Thank you. The
Yeah.
energy works, and you didn't want to quack like a chicken, right?
Well, it was not only that, that is something like I've seen, they say, but also too, like, what if I, say something that I don't want to say? Or what if you know what I mean? Or what if something gets in that's being controlled without my permission? But, it's obviously not like that.
Right, and it's funny how you say now, obviously it's not like that, and you discard it because you know it's nonsense. But for a lot of people, they still believe in it. So it's good that
Right.
you're mentioning it here that yes, people believe it's mind control, or they will bark like dogs and they will share secrets, and none of it is true because you are in total control.
Right.
And there is no way anybody can make you do something that you don't want to do. People just like to give their power away because it's mystical, it's interesting, it's fascinating. Oh, somebody. In fact, I was actually at the business expo recently here in Phoenix, Arizona, and I know you live in San Diego,
Mhm.
but here I am in Phoenix, and I looked at the psychic one time. There were several psychic people there at the expo, and one of the promotional materials said, "I will establish your destiny for you." And I cringed and I said, "I'm not going to this psychic because no matter what gift she has, she cannot establish any destiny on me or anybody else, right?"
Right.
And of course, if you would share anything secret, I would definitely talk about it today on Google so everybody could hear.
Nothing to hide.
But of course, I'm kidding because, again, if you don't want to share something and you have something inside, you have a protective mechanism inside that will prevent you from sharing it. So that's a common knowledge. Those who seriously know about hypnosis, they know it. And I hope more and more people will be more comfortable with the process of hypnosis. And so my next question, well, I guess we could even talk about you said already you believed that mind control and all this stuff, and we already cleared that those myths. How about the preparation part, the trust that I was able to build with you, so you can be trusty in the process, and that's to me that's the main ingredient. If you don't trust me, then you will not open up again because the power is inside of you. But when you trust, you said I am trustworthy, so how did it help you that I have a system of preparing my clients? How was it for you in your experience?
So just like you said, I believe, and this goes with what I do too, that it's important to have the trust of the person. I know how valuable that is, and so finding someone, a practitioner or hypnotherapist, who I do trust, is I think so key and vital because the preparation process helped me to understand as well that you're the facilitator of the process, that it is my journey, and I'm the one sharing and choosing what to share on some level, but I'm just in a deep relaxed state, and you're guiding me in the process. And so I have to, like you said, sort of choose to give my not my power necessarily all the way to you, but give up control somewhat in a healthy way. And that's a beautiful thing to me because it frees me up to get to that deeper level. So in the CD, the tracks that you sent to prepare me, they helped me get to that deep relaxed state. Hearing your voice, I remembered your face, so I could sort of envision it. And then I also really liked the video that I watched it when I came for the appointment in the waiting room while I was preparing, which also explained and confirmed the fact that yes, you are in control the whole time. This is just someone who is, like I said, facilitating and guiding the process because I've never had that experience, so I didn't know what to do. But you're a professional, so you sort of allow me or ask the questions that are already within, which was just it was awesome. So that was extremely helpful for me.
Right. I guess that's the difference between us. We work as helping clients with hypnosis and people who are psychics, which I respect psychics. I love them. I love getting readings. But when the clients tell me, oh, the psychic told me this and that, and okay, fine, somebody told you this and that.
Right.
And in hypnosis, in the process with me, did I tell you anything or you gave me the answers?
Right. That's exactly, and that's again one of the reasons I resonate with you, because my goal is to empower people, and I understand, and that's your goal, which was clear to me as well, which was to empower me, to allow me to come up with my own answers, for me to explore my own unconscious mind, my soul. And this is the other thing that I really like too. It was at my own pace. The preparation helps you prepare, make it gradual, and then even in the hypnosis, I didn't feel forced, or I had to hurry up and go someplace, or I had to get to a certain answer. There was no expectations. It allowed me to, again, to just be free and go at my own pace, which I was comfortable with. So, yeah.
Did you like that we talked a lot before because you needed to hear things like, am I making it up? Or can I be hypnotized?
Right, yes, that did help. And the information again that you sent prior helped relieve me of any of those doubts or fears. Um, and I think too, people coming, it's like a perfect time when if to come to you, I believe, when someone is like they're almost sure, like they're really interested, they're intrigued by it, but they might just have some like, well, like you said, am I making it up, or is this real? Because I feel like the experience with you really confirms that it is real, and it's like it might seem like you're making it up, but that's what you're sort of, because you're not consciously aware of those things. So you're using these different techniques to get into what exists that you're just not consciously aware of. And so that really, like I said, the communication with you and having the experience confirmed for me, or I guess alleviated the doubts and confirmed for me that it is real and life-changing, really.
And that's also interesting point because if you did not trust enough, if you did not open up to your experience, would you have a wonderful positive experience or results that you got? Or you might have closed up and were not able to even get anywhere, right?
Right. I think that is really the key, is the trust. And it's a, I didn't feel you, or you didn't make me feel like you're the one that knows and I'm just the client who has no idea. It felt to me like it was a partnership, it was a collaborative experience. And again, you were just allowing me to uncover what I do already know on some level. And I know for myself, because that is a hard thing for me to have gotten to that place, to be able to consciously choose, before even hypnosis, because I had to consciously choose to work with you. So it had to be for me someone who I trust. And I didn't know you before that, before I met you at the presentation, but meeting you and building almost an immediate connection or trust was just so vital. And I think once I did that and was able to do that, then it opened up the world for me, to be able to work with you, have the experience, continue my life, with that experience, and be able to tap back into it and draw upon it and know what sort of come from that. So yeah, I think the trust is really important.
Yeah, I believe so too,
Yeah.
definitely. I recently had a experience that somebody called me on the phone and said, "Well, I'm skeptic." And okay, I didn't say that, but why exactly are you coming to a hypnotherapist if you're skeptic?
Right.
Because if you're skeptic and you're so powerful, and I'm not taking power away from you, and I'm not going to make you not skeptic, because
Right.
it is your job to maybe research about hypnosis more, maybe read more, maybe talk to people who have undergone the process, and then change your mind, and then come with an open mind to a specialist. Because If you're a skeptic and you will keep going to one after another professionals,
Right.
and you will continue being a skeptic.
Right. I
So that person was trying to, I guess, waiting for somebody to make him not skeptic, right?
Which is, I think that's so interesting. It's very ironic or paradoxical because, like you said, that's the person who is actually giving up their control and their power versus someone who chooses to come to you because they are open or receptive. They don't know maybe, but they're choosing to allow themselves to be empowered through the experience. When I have the similar experience with when I do readings for people, intuitive readings, or I've seen mediums who people come and say, I don't believe or I'm a skeptic. It's like, well, that's your choice. You don't have to believe. I'm not here to make you believe or prove anything to you. This is your choice. You come if you're interested and open and have the experience. And you get to choose, even after experience, if you like it or not. There's nothing to be proved. It's just your own experience and uncovering what you know what I mean. You know on some level, and the power is never taken out of your control. So someone coming as a skeptic to me is more seeking external validation than being empowered or having. They think they have the control, but they don't because they're trying to be confirmed by someone outside themselves. So it's kind of a paradox there.
Right. So the message here for people, I guess, if you're a skeptic, just research and talk and find out what's it like. And if you're interested in the subject, then learn more about it. And
Totally,
then come to a professional with an open mind, because
totally.
that's the best time. When a client comes to me and says, I have no expectations, that's the best.
That
Because
frees up. Yeah.
right, right. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. And let's talk about, what did you need from those sessions? What did you expect?
I think like you're saying, I didn't have really expectations. I was open to kind of whatever happens. I guess okay, I guess I can think of expectation of having like a having it come through really clearly and just just be perfect and everything makes total sense and everything's wonderful and all my questions got answered. And I did get that, but it was just not so. It's not so black and white. It's not just like it's hard to explain. It's really an experiential thing, of course, that someone has to experience to know and understand. And I believe even after the experience, like even now, still talking about it, you're still integrating and things are still clicking and making sense that you can connect back to the hypnosis. So, the things happening in my life, I'm like, oh, this makes sense with this, or that goes here with what came through in the session. I think when people have it in their mind that it's clear cut, black and white, that's not really the way the world works, and that's not the way my experience was in hypnosis. And maybe it's different for everyone. That was just my own personal experience. That there was room for me to figure it out.
Hmm.
Does that
How
make sense?
about the modes of receiving information, of recalling? Were you visual? Were you auditory, kinesthetic? You felt something, you sensed something, you knew information, or you looked and saw? So, what was your way of receiving information?
I would say it was kind of a combination of all those things. And I know for myself when I do readings, I get information just knowingness. It comes through as just knowingness. And I would say that was really strong in the sessions with you too, where it was like, I don't know how I know that or why that's coming in, but that's what is just in my brain right now. And at the same time, it was like a movie kind of like I could see and hear, and I could see clearly. I could clearly see people. I could clearly see scenes, and they weren't like something that I it's not like I just watched something on TV with that scene in it, or I just saw someone with that name. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like I remember. Can I give an example of something?
Sure.
I remember, for example, my spirit guide that came through. Her name was Martha, and I was like, "There's no way that's in my subconscious because I don't like that name. Sorry to anyone who has that name, but that was not a name that that I love, and it's not. I don't know anyone with that name. It's never been in my life. So where would that have come from? You know, so it's those kind of things that confirm for me, and that's giving me chills right now because that it's real because there's no other explanation, you know? So I would say, yeah, there was kind of a combination of visual, auditory, and the knowingness or the feeling, like there's emotion sometimes um, connected to it, and just felt very real. Yeah.
Well, Robin, we're talking here with a professional. You a professional psychic. You a professional person who deals with it and deals with energy, information you're receiving. You give readings to people. And what would you say? So for you, definitely it's a high level of receiving information, I would say. What would you say to people who say, oh, I didn't see anything. Nothing can be seen. Um, they get information just by maybe a thought came in. They still
Right.
get information, but they don't. They expect to be at 4D, like in a movie theater, when you're in those glasses that everything is right in front of you. But they haven't been professional psychics. They haven't developed that talent, right? They haven't meditated maybe for a long time to get to that level. So what would be your advice to those people?
Well, I would say I was one of those people, and so I I became more in how do I say um, my psychic abilities or and my profession, my business has grown and expanded since this experience. So I wouldn't say
Ah,
I was more in the beginning stages of my of becoming who I am now when I came to you. So it not only propelled me further on this path, but allowed me to trust what does come into me intuitively in my readings with people, which has totally just blown me away with the stuff. So this was a real big catalyst for me um, to be in my psychic power. And so being a regular person, I am a regular person too, you know? And so I doubt and wonder why isn't it clear or how come it's this or that. But when I hear things from people, even in my sessions, that it seems like it's insignificant or it seems small or I only got a word. And just like with you or with other people who have had hypnosis that have shared with me, um, you know, I heard someone say recently, a client say, nothing really came through. I didn't see anything. All I got was this big tree and these roots. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a magical experience. And I saw an elephant. She's telling me all these things that to her seemed insignificant. As me now, as a professional psychic, I can interpret and realize, oh my gosh, you're going into past lives before you're even human. Like, there's all these connections. It's all meaningful. It all makes sense. So I would tell people don't discount what comes through. It's not going to be, oh, and that gave me chills again too. It's not going to necessarily be, like I said, black and white, where it's just you're watching a movie and everything makes sense, you totally get it, and it's all flowing and clean and smooth. It's sometimes symbols and cryptic messages, but that's the fun of it, I think, because then you open up your world. You get to crack the code and figure out how it makes sense and resonates with you. And so I would say to be open, and whatever comes through, a symbol, an animal, it might seem like fragmented pieces of things, it will all eventually make sense and connect for you. That's what I would say.
right. Like an animal came to you, right?
Yes. Yes. That was weird and very surreal because again, there was no explanation for it. There was a snow leopard. I think that's what it's called, a snow leopard. It was like it looked like a big white tiger, and he was there and just relaxed and peaceful and really powerful. And I don't know how that would have come through. I don't see those animals, in my life. I didn't even entirely know what it was. And then sharing with you at the end, or I guess it came through, and then you shared with me after the session was over that you had seen, right? You had seen something like that, or that was one of your power animals. And that to me was also mind blowing and confirming that, okay, this stuff is real. And other people have similar experiences and can relate to it. So that was yeah, also mind blowing.
All right. And so what would be my next question? I'm trying to think. So generally, I guess we already talked about it. I don't know if you can add more. How was your experience with me generally?
I loved it. It was just an amazing experience. It was, like I said, I think it was divine timing, perfect timing for things. You know, you being in the right place for me and me being in the right place, at the right time to be able to receive that. Like I said, you have to be open at a certain place in your journey where you consciously choose to explore and experience different things and try this hypnosis as a modality of self-exploration and self-discovery, because it's just another tool on your pathway, and it can really uncover. We're so in our conscious mind that it just can really uncover what's going on at deeper levels that we're not aware of, and it can really bring insight into your conscious mind so that you can live consciously with what's going on at a deeper level. You can bring that into your awareness, and I think to be able to do that is just so life-changing and powerful, and that's what I really gained from the experience with you. It has brought things into my life, or things that have been in my life have helped me make sense of it. Um, so I can't say enough things about it that are positive, because it just was meant to be extremely helpful and life-changing, really.
hmm And we will get to the specific benefits that you received a little bit later. I actually came up with another question while you were talking, and I don't remember, I don't know if you remember that because it's been a couple of years, but how did you know you were hypnotized?
That's a good question. So, like we were saying before, it is just a deep, deep state of relaxation. I think am I describing that correctly? That's what it felt like to me.
Well, hypnosis is a state of heightened suggestibility, and relaxation is actually a byproduct. So you might be in hypnosis without even being relaxed, but you can be in a state of heightened suggestibility. But relaxation usually is a very nice side effect.
Okay, okay, so that makes sense, because I think in one of the examples before too, you had given the scenario you could be driving in your car down the road, and you're so used to going down that path or being in that routine that you don't even realize you got to your destination. That's sort of a state of hypnosis as well. And
Exactly.
so that is what it felt like. It felt otherworldly. I remember my body feeling like disconnected, if that makes sense. It felt like my hands were not where my hands are supposed to be. My feet aren't where my feet's supposed to be. I remember my body being tingly. So there was a lot of outer bodiness. And I would say too, something that made me know that I was in hypnosis when I came out of it, everything seemed really small. Everything seemed really like, oh, we were here the whole time. And the other thing, I couldn't believe the amount of time that went by. It had felt like we were there for like 5 minutes or just a quick little, and I'm like, I've been here for 2 hours. Like I couldn't believe that. And in my experience with you, you had first done a past life regression, and then we did a life between lives session. So the past life regression was to first make sure that I was be able to be hypnotized, right?
hmm
And I remember through that experience also knowing that I was hypnotized, because, again, the scenario that came through, the past life that came through, there was no way for me to, that it wasn't something on my conscious mind. So it's like, where else did it come from? It had to come through the hypnosis. Um, so yeah, so those are some of the things that confirmed for me that it was true hypnosis.
And if a person says to me, and I'm sure I told you the same to you, I don't remember, but I said to everybody, if a person says, "Oh, I'm afraid that I'm making it up," and I usually say, "That's fine,
Yeah,
continue making it up. What's the
yeah.
difference? Because if it helps your life, if it changes your life, if it gives you positive experience, who cares where the information comes from?" And by the way, if you never dream about being a ballerina, you will not make it up because it just won't occur to your mind. It won't come to your mind. But whatever your information comes from, there is a space and there is this information. So not every single person who comes to me tells me exactly the same past life, right? Everybody has their own experiences. So how could possibly all these people make it up?
And that's something too, I think that's important. to remember and know, just in the way the world works, is not only is everything real, but everything is made up. To do anything, you have to start with something. It comes out of nowhere. You know, if someone decides to there's a building outside your home, well, that just came out of nowhere. Yes, someone had to come up with it and then take action and put it into reality to have a concrete building. So that's imagination is a tool that you use in your life, like you said, dreaming or visualizing what you want for your life. And it seems like, well, where did that come from? Well, who knows? It was divinely inspired, or you created it, or whatever. And like you said, what does it matter? Because it does have purpose and reason. And if you think about it, everything already exists. So it's coming from somewhere. You know, everything exists. So we just aren't always aware of that. And so it seems like we're making it up. It seems like we're creating it for the first time or whatever. But it's just, you know, the circle of life as I look at it.
Right. And I had actually clients who later on, especially men, no offense, but men are more logical and they
Right.
always tell me, oh, I'm afraid I'm making it up. And I had several people who would email to me late at night after the session, and I happened to be awake and I got the email and I was smiling because um, that particular person I'm thinking about, he said, oh, I cannot, I'm making it up, I'm history buff, but I don't know this. And so he went home and he told his son, and his son actually, I guess, Googled everything, and it was a military information. And it actually happened. This person is a history buff, but he didn't know because it was unknown history, but it really happened, and it involved World War II and two different countries, and everything that my client, oh, I got chills right now,
Yeah.
everything that my client recalled in his past life. He was a soldier. He even saw a badge on the arm with the soldier's number, not the name, the
Wow.
number, and the special type of the uniforms. And he was saying, I know the uniforms during World War II, and it didn't look like one. Well, it happened to be special regiment, uh, special mission, and it all was confirmed in
Wow.
history. And so this person is emailing to me, giving all these details and saying, I cannot believe it. It really happened. I really confirmed, my son confirmed all the details, and he was very, very happy about it. But again, it's fine if you confirm it, and yes, you got the information, and it happened many, many times with other people. But again, if you, to me, if you can change your life right now, if it worked, if it affected life, and usually it does, every time you have a past life regression, there is a reason you got it. There is a reason that you came, it was an appointment, divinely set up appointment to come here to do the session and to have it. And then it affects your life, right? So
Yep.
what's the difference?
What's the difference exactly? What does it matter? You know, it's the same. If it's good for you, it's like something else. You know, if it's good for you and it works, who cares? You know?
I have another experience with one client who, a lady, she actually had all positive, everything good, three past lives and all good lives. And she was wondering, why did I get all these three lives and nothing really happened? So there is no healing involved. Well, of course, I knew better from experience. I was calm about it. I knew something was going to happen. And when she emerged after the hypnosis, she burst into tears.
Wow.
She told me her healing actually happened not during those lifetimes, the recall itself, but afterwards when she became conscious, sort of. We're never unconscious in hypnosis, but she emerged from the trance, and she said, oh my gosh, I actually, it's okay for me to allow myself to be joyful. Her main thing was she did not allow joy in life. She always tried to be serious and not play, not having joy for whatever reason. That was her healing, because three past lives that she recalled were all about happiness and good solid past lives with no drama involved, and the message for her was, you allowed, it's okay, it's your birthright to be joyful in life. So that was a major healing. She was very, very happy about it.
That's awesome. I would say too, with what you said there, that's something I can relate to. That feeling or of, wanting it to be a certain way, or I want to research and confirm it and make sure it's real and that kind of stuff. Like I was saying, like, if it's good for you, it's healthy, who cares? Um, I can say that now, but that's not something I have always felt or believed in. I'd be like, well, I have to make sure it's legitimate. I have to make sure you know, she said, there's healing or whatever. But I think that's where the trust comes in, where it's just knowing that it is divinely set up, and that you can trust and know and believe that the truth will be revealed to you. It might not be so clear and obvious right there in the moment, but it will come. Um, and at different degrees. So it's just trusting and knowing and believing in that, I think, really.
Right, exactly. Okay, and then the next session was Life Between Lives. And the first question, do you remember if you had deeper hypnosis the next time, the deeper trance?
I think so. I think the Life Between Lives one was deeper, yeah, from what I
Mm-hmm.
remember.
Mm-hmm. All right, and so let's talk about the benefits that you received, and also we're waiting for, or I am waiting for a story that you graciously agreed to share about your dad and the experience. So let's talk about that. So first, let's say what the benefits were from the whole process working with me, and then let's go into the story.
Okay. So, with the Life Between Lives session, it was yeah, it was deeper too, I remember, because I know it was longer and there was more going on. There was like more layers to uncover. Um, and it was just very interesting. That was a key word. It's really interesting because I didn't understand. Even in this is the cool thing about hypnosis too. Even in the hypnosis, I'm like, why am I saying that? Or like, where's that coming from? Because you are aware, of what you're saying. You know that you're speaking. You know that you're somewhere else. And so that was powerful, I would say. Um, and also at the time, like I was saying, things making sense eventually. At the time, it was not sure what was coming through or why. Um, but again, trusting and believing in it and just having it be a really profound, insightful experience. I think sometimes things can come through that are symbols to your life now, like we were talking about, a parallel life or something coming through that um, that might not it might not be like something humanly. I remember in the Life Between Lives session, I saw my life on a star. I saw the Life Between Lives being this like middle plane of existence. It looked like a spaceship, kind of like it was really, futuristic looking. And so I didn't know where that stuff was coming from or what it meant. But I know now, and even shortly after the sessions, that there was something to it. That I knew there was a reason for it. I knew I was there for a purpose. It was meant for my best interest and highest good. And now, with what happened with my dad, I just know without a shadow of a doubt, and I'm happy I had that experience before with my dad, because this was a physical life experience in this reality that confirmed what I just thought I believed in and got from hypnosis. It was something I believed in, life after death or continuous life, but you don't know, you're unsure. And then something like hypnosis confirms it a little bit more. And then from hypnosis, then I have this life-changing experience with my dad, which is like, I just know it. I know now. And that helps me also confirm my experience in hypnosis, that yes, that was real because I've experienced it. And my dad, who did not believe in any of this stuff, now has experienced it. So there's no other confirmation than having a real life experience. You know what I mean? Than having that to confirm, what came through in hypnosis. If you're ever wondering or doubting, I can promise now and guarantee that it's real because I know it. I know it. I know life exists after death. I know it goes on. I know you see your loved ones again. I just know that now for sure. So I don't know if I should share more about the experience with my dad. Should I go into the details?
Sure. So, is there anything else you got from the sessions before you share the story?
So I would say what I really got was
The Peter story also?
that was weird. Yes, so that was really weird. I will say I went, so this confirmed for me remembering the dates of the session. We had our session in May of 2012, and I was at I was coming to, I should say, a crossroads in my life. You know, we go through these different cycles of death and rebirth throughout our life, and I was at a transitional time, I would say, in that. And so my love life was something was ending, and I didn't know yet, but I grew to know that something was coming in. And I was with you sort of that in that middle point. And so in the session, and again, I didn't remember this until I listened to the recording, but in the session, I had, oh, it's gonna make me cry maybe, but I had a guide come through. You had asked at a certain point, you know, do you see someone as you leave the one life and go to the life between lives? Is there someone there, or do you see anyone that's sort of guiding you? And I said yes, and you said what is his name? And I could see him, and I said his name is Peter. And again, I didn't remember that until 6 months later. I was out on the boardwalk. There's a lot that happened with this life-changing stuff that was connected, but the hypnosis is all part of the journey. And I met this guy, and I looked at his eyes, and I saw him, and I had this instant knowingness of who I felt like I knew him, and I felt like I loved him, and I felt like this immense resonance. And his name was Peter. And in the moment, I didn't connect it to the hypnosis. I didn't even remember that that come through until we were in a relationship. I'm in love with him, and I listened to these sessions again, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't even believe that the name Peter came up. And it was 6 months after our session together. And you had said in the session that there was love coming in, and that was something that was coming through in my sessions. And afterwards, you had told me that I was going to see the color red a lot. And on the way home, I was seeing the color red a lot. And 6 months later is when I met him, and he was my soulmate, my twin flame, whatever you want to call it, um, and that was just mind-blowing to me that the name was the same. And I have felt that in my connection with him, that he's been like a teacher to me in this life. So it's very surreal is like the best word, because it's surreal, it's unexplainable. It's, you know, you're living it, you know it's real on some level, but your conscious mind can't entirely get it or make sense of it. So it's just going with that flow of knowing it and trusting it, because you can't always explain it.
That's
So,
right. That's
yeah.
right. Here is another. Here is again trust.
Yeah, trusting, because what else, I mean, you know, and part of me wondered too. I was like, well, maybe, you know, you try to explain it in in your mind. I'm like, well, maybe because, you know, and I don't even know where this is coming from because I'm not Catholic or anything, but, you know, isn't Peter the one that guards the gate of heaven, and da da da, maybe that's why it came through. But even if that is the reason, Peter that I met, he's like, yeah, my mom named me after Peter in the Bible. I'm like, okay, well, even if that was the reason, that is who he is now in my life. He is someone who is sort of like, I had felt like, you know, symbolic of what that would be, Peter guarding the gates of heaven or whatever. So even if that's what came through in hypnosis, that's what manifested, that's what came into my life through this guy Peter. So it was all connected anyway, even if I tried to explain it.
And it could be a name that it was a red flag, so to speak, the flag to help you recognize that this is your opportunity. You shouldn't miss it, because obviously we have a free choice, but we also are given red flags to major milestones in our lives to really not miss those opportunities. And it seems like that was your red flag. Whatever the entity itself has, whatever role that entity, that soul has in the spirit world, and what your relationship there, again, it doesn't matter. What matters is you needed to pay attention to the name Peter, and you
That
did.
and it's funny you saying the word red flag too, because that has a lot of meaning with not only you said being able to see the color red afterward, and that being sort of a symbol, the seeing the color red having to do with love and everything coming in, and then red flag is also meant to be like a warning So it's all those things. And by warning, to me, this was a positive thing. There's blessings in disguise, you know. And so, like you said, it somehow all connects and relates to this experience now that I had for what it means and what came through in hypnosis. It's really weird how it can all sort of start to put the puzzle pieces together and make sense.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about your dad.
So it's a long story, and I'll try to keep it short. I hope I'm not talking too much. This happened. Wow. Wait, our sessions were in 2012. This was also in 2012. This is really weird.
Huh.
Okay, and 2012 for me, and as they, that was a big universal thing that 2012 was this, end of the world kind of thing. And there's some truth to that in my experience where it was the end of some world as I knew it. It was a change of an old way going into a new way. And this happened in December of 2012, just a month after I met Peter. So 7 months after our session together. The end of 2012, I got a call that my dad had chest pain, was in the hospital. It just insane stuff happening. And my whole family was on the East Coast. I was here in California. And the first thing that I'll share is that I couldn't do anything. Everyone was back in Pennsylvania. I was here. All I could do was pray. And I was in my apartment by myself, and I remember just not, again, being out of control, and having nothing to go to except for the divine, and of course my friends and family and Peter at the time that were all helpful, but praying and feeling as though my dad could hear me. I felt as though I was talking through God, or whatever you want to call it, to my dad. And I kept getting this warm, washed over feeling that he could hear me. And I was saying, he was in surgery, and I kept saying, Dad, you're going to be okay. I can feel it. You're going to make it through. Don't worry. And my family was telling me to come home and hurry up. Like, this was the last time I was going to see him alive. And I kept being told or guided not to act on fear, not to just go home with that feeling. And I told my family, I said, look, I'm going to sleep here tonight. I'll come home tomorrow, when I'm in a good state of mind, of trusting and knowing that he's going to be okay. And once I had that confirmation, that washed over, warm, chilled feeling, that he was going to be okay, that he could hear me, I was able to act on that the whole time. The doctors were saying that he did like your dad. He was pronounced dead. He had an aortic dissection, he had an aneurysm, and he had 2 strokes. And they said not only did he die, but then his body started to heal, and I was doing energy healing on him the whole time, and his body was healing, but they said his brain wasn't healing, and that was a sign that he was going to be brain dead. He had 3 out of 4 hemispheres of his brain that were damaged. So they said he would never walk again, never talk again, never go to the bathroom on his own. He would basically be a vegetable for his life. And I said, I'm not taking that as an answer. I don't believe that. This is where belief and trust comes in. I could choose to believe what the doctors were saying, or I could choose to go with faith and what I was trusting from the divine, that miracles are real, can happen. I know this doesn't have to be what's happening. I'm not ready for my dad to go. And I didn't, and I didn't believe it was his time, and that's giving me chills too. And so trusting and going with that and believing that when everything was against it, all the forces were against it, all the doctors were saying it's done, it's over. They were talking about hospice and end of life care. And I was just, it's making me cry because I just was like, no, that's not going to happen. And so not only was I praying with him and to him, but there was a certain point too, he was in a coma and I was reading him angel stories, and he opened his eyes for a quick second and made eye contact with me and made like a little small smile. And I'm like, oh my God, did anyone see that? Like, that was confirmation to me from him, from his soul or his higher self. Like, keep going, you're doing good, continuing to hold that trust for him that he couldn't, of believing that he had a reason to live, even when no one else believed it. And I was doing energy healing then on his brain, and eventually, after a few months, he came back. And when he came back, he was in this much more lucid state of being. And it was just so soul confirming for me. He had said to me right before I went back to California, I asked for some time alone with him. He was in his rehab facility, and he was so he was very childlike when he came back. My dad was a strong businessman, had his own real estate company, very a family man, good guy, all that kind of stuff. And I had already gotten into sort of this, palm reading and doing these kind of psychic things, and he was supportive of me, but he didn't really necessarily believe it or agree with it until this experience he had in which he told me, I said, Dad, I was praying for you when I was in California, and he said, Robin, I could see you all around me. So that was one confirmation that while he was in a comatose state, he could see me praying for him. He saw my body, my presence all around him praying for him. I, that is unreal to me, like how that happened. And then doing the energy healing, he said he saw me with putting flowers around his head and lighting candles and using leaves to heal him. And I said, Dad, I wasn't doing that in this world, but he, in whatever reality we were connected in, dimension, whatever, he saw me doing healing on him. I was doing it differently in this reality, but he was able to physically see that and experience that. And the one thing he said to me too, when I left to go back to California, he said, Robin, he said, we did it, as in we fulfilled an agreement that we had. That's giving me chills. We had like a soul, and I know this. My dad and I always loved him, of course, but this made us like one. Became one somehow. I don't know how it happened or how it works, but just like the hypnosis, you don't know how it happens or how it works. It's unreal. How could my dad see me with candles and flowers and leaves on him? That wasn't happening here. But he saw it, he experienced it, it was real. That's what happens in hypnosis too, where it's real and you have to trust it and don't believe it. And this confirmed, this is now life. My dad has had a miraculous recovery. He can walk, he can talk, he's coherent, he can communicate. You know, the doctor said that would never happen. It was not supposed to, it was unreal. It was impossible, they said. So how is the impossible somehow now real? It seemed impossible that these lives could come through in a past life session or in a life between life session. How is it real? Well, now I know it's real. I know this stuff is real. I know what happens. My dad now speaks to me. When he speaks to me, I feel like he's talking from my soul. He gets it. We have this experience of a different reality, and that's what you get in hypnosis. You go to a different place. You go to a different dimension. You're expanding your consciousness, and then you can now bring it into your life on Earth, which is what happened with my dad, and live it, and know that this stuff can change your life. It is real. Miracles can happen. Magic is possible. All the things that you think can't exist can happen. And I am a testament to that. This experience with my dad is a real life story of that. It is like, it's 2 years later, and I think about it every day and give gratitude for it every day because I have my dad still here. And if I didn't believe that that was possible, I wouldn't. And so I think that's why hypnosis is so powerful, because it gives you that belief and, like we said, that trust. And having that is invaluable. I think having that is life-changing and invaluable. Yeah,
So
so.
do you believe, Robin, that coming to these sessions to go through life between life process helped or prepared you for your future experience with helping your dad?
I do. I really do, because I know that everything happens for a reason and that's divinely appointed. And I find it very weird that I would have these sessions with you 6 months before this stuff happened. Meeting meeting Peter and my dad are two of the most powerful life-changing experiences I've had I'm only 30, but in this life. And they have propelled me on my path. And I don't know if I would have been as open to what was to come in if I hadn't had those sessions with you. Do you know what I mean? So there was something in me that had gotten to the point where I was ready to give up that control or be open to trusting someone else and trusting in the universe and the divine and in you and in the experience. I think that it was almost like I had to have that to be ready for what was going to come in. I might not have been as open or as receptive or as conscious of that. I might have been like, no, that's not real. This can't happen. This is only what's real. Only what I can see and feel right here is what's real. And then I wouldn't have been able to say to the doctors, no, I do know something that you don't know. I was able to say to the doctors, stuff does exist outside of what we're having right now. And the hypnosis gave me that that experience, you know, that sort of abstract experience of knowing that things that I can't feel or experience or know consciously here do exist and are real somewhere else. And now being able to bring that, like I said, to Earth and having that, it's just, I just know it. Like, it's like I can't say any more than I just know that that is real and that people have to trust in it and believe that what's coming through to them in the process is meant to be. I think that you just have to trust you and that what's coming through is what's meant to be at that time for whatever reason. And if it makes sense to you at that time, awesome. And if it doesn't, that's awesome too, because it will make sense. There's a purpose for it. It's going to integrate and be in your life, you know? So I think that that's really, yeah, the key.
Thank you. That's so powerful.
Thank you so much. I thank you so much, you know, for being the facilitator of that process for me and allowing me to open up and trust, you know, and be with someone, like I said, who I can explore. I felt safe to explore with.
Well, thank you for your trust. Thank you for your trust.
Thank you, Irina.
All right, that's the story. I had tears in my eyes actually. I heard it before, but you say it with such passion and conviction, and I feel your energy, and it's really, really powerful and empowering.
Thank
I
you.
still have
I can feel it. I know, I
it.
can feel it in my heart. It's like there's no greater truth than what's in your heart and your knowingness on a soul level, and that's what I can feel even now as you're crying. I can feel that, and that's what I hope that people do get from sessions with you, to know that this resonance that I feel that you're getting, that that can be real for everyone, to know your soul. Um, this is the other thing I want to say real fast too about my dad. He said the thing that gave me peace to go back to California, he said, "We'll be together forever. Do you agree?" And I knew in that moment that I would, no matter what happened, if he was to die, it didn't matter. I felt this immense peace of knowing I would see him again, knowing no matter what oh, that's giving me chills too, that we would be in whatever reality, whatever next life, we would somehow incarnate together again, or we would be in each other's lives. And I had no fear around that anymore. I had never, not that I was worried about my own death, but I don't want to lose my loved ones. But now I know if they do die, of course, they all do one day, that you can choose to be with them again and have another life together. So I just know that is true now.
Even those who you don't want to see anymore, they will still be with you, so you're stuck.
That's what they say. You better learn your lessons now with them because they're going to come back. Whether you want it or not, so you know, better learn it here and now.
That's right, exactly.
That's funny.
Oh, that's quite amazing. Very powerful. Okay, I think our time came to the end, and I bet you having fun. I am having fun, and I said, well, even if you're nervous before, you still will be having fun. Is that true?
Yes, so fun. And thank you for the experience with your dad, too. That was really nice to know.
Yeah, it's always we always are at the right time, at the right place, saying the right things, and always affect lives, other lives. So. All right, let's stop there. And thank you so much, Robin, for being such a wonderful client and for graciously agreeing to be here, sharing your story, sharing with people. And I hope that somebody who listens this Google Hangout really get will be affected, and maybe a miracle, and I pray for it, a miracle will happen right after this session with them as well. And right now, I would like to invite everybody to claim your free video training, the Dream Manifesting Formula, the step-by-step guide to achieving your dreams, big and small. And it's a training that I've created looking back and seeing that I have manifested everything I really truly wanted in my heart. And I said, wow, I've been manifesting really well. And I looked back again and I said, what are the steps I use? So I put these steps into the system and made a series of videos. It's a 7-day video formula. And I'm inviting you to use this opportunity and manifest what your heart desires. So go to the dreammanifestingformula.com. Again, it's dreammanifestingformula.com and get the instant access to the formula. It's my gift to you, and I send my blessings and light and love your way. And have a wonderful day. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.